Welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Carrie Muggs. This is where we learn all things spirit, everything from spiritual gifts, awakenings, ghosts, aliens, and starseeds. Nothing is untouchable, but always fun and spunky. I am honored to be on this spiritual journey with you, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Hello, I am psychic medium Carrie Muggs, and welcome to this episode of Spunky Spirit. Today we are going to talk about the 8 most things or the top things that spirits bring through in readings that they want as messages. So I am an evidential medium, which means I like them to bring me evidence of who they are, memories of you, things that you've done, and things that you're going through now. And I sometimes get so involved with the evidence that I just get so into it that I forget the message. And I just want to talk about I'm working on that. And they don't let me forget the message. So I shouldn't say that. But what I want to talk to you today about is the messages, the most important messages that most of them like to bring through. Now, every reading is different and they all have different significant messages depending on what you're going through in your life. But the top ones that I want to talk about, because this lets you know that they're with you. Like the top ones that come through, or the ones that come through the most, are ones that you probably are wondering yourself. So I want to talk about them today in this session, because I want you to be able to know that this could be an answer to you. For some of you that have lost loved ones and past loved ones, that know and kind of know what their top message is for you today. I feel like the number one message is that they say, I love you. They want you to know that they love you. And this could mean even if you had past grievances with them, or if there was tension before they passed, or things got kind of, maybe something happened before they passed, they always come through with, I love you. Because what happens is they don't really carry those feelings over to the other side with them, because they go into their life review and they see the whole perception of why people do the things they do. So they know why you said the same things you said. They know why they said the things they said. And so they come through mostly with, I love you. And this during readings is such a strong feeling. Like I've had a couple spirits before, even before they even bring in messages, will be like, I love you. And I'll be like, wait, we have to figure out who you are first. And so it's kind of interesting because they very much want you to know how much they love you. And that love doesn't change. They're eternal. You're eternal. And so their love for you is going to be eternal. It doesn't end. And your grief is just like proof that you have love for them. It's just, grief is like love with nowhere to go, right? Like it's just kind of stuck. So because there's nobody to give that love to, and you think that they're gone, really they're still with you. So the next one is, I know you love me. It is crazy to me that when I do readings sometimes, that people will be like, I'll be giving the reading and the spirit will be right there in the room and they'll say, will you tell them I love them? And they can already hear you. You don't need me to tell them that. They already know. They already hear you. They already know. And so they love it. They already know that you love them. And they love it when you say it. In fact, the next one is, talk to me out loud. They love it when you talk to them out loud. Here's why: because they are an eternal being. They're at a frequency, they're energy, because everything is energy. So when you talk to them out loud, it's like you tune into their radio station. Like they're always around, just like your Wi-Fi and your radio, and they tap into you. But when you directly talk to them out loud, then they know. It's like they know and they tap into that and they go directly. It's like you tune into their radio station. So they love it when you talk out loud to them. So when you do talk out loud to them, make sure that you pause in between of your senses and things like that, so you can actually listen and see if you can hear a response. And sometimes you're going to think the response is your own imagination, but more you start doing this, the more you're going to feel like that it's not your imagination and it truly is them. And I don't want you to feel crazy when you do this, because they are eternal. They're still around. And I don't also want you to think that they're too busy for you, because they're not. Because I want you to ask yourself this one thing. If you were to pass over tomorrow, what would you do? You would want to check on your family. You would want to be there for your family. You would want them to know you're still around, and you would want them to know that you love them and you know that they love you. So that's super important. Mostly that you don't need me to talk to them. They can hear you without me. I am the medium because I You can't, some people can't hear them without me being in the middle. You can, you just don't realize you can. So I help with that. I help with that transition. Okay. Now, the next one is I'm still with you. Obviously, they are always still with you. Now, I know some mediums believe that they have to have permission to be with you or that they are doing other things. And that is not the case that I have learned. When I do my readings, they say, I'm always with you. Now, even if they're like, because they still can do things on the other side. And you have to remember their frequency, they don't have a body, and we have a hard time thinking of this. So they can be with you 10% with you, 10% with somebody else, 10% with somebody else. Their frequency can be all over the place, kind of like the wind. Everyone, or Wi-Fi, those who tap into it can feel it, or those that need it the most. So they're always with you. So don't let somebody say they've got more important things to do on the other side, because you are their important thing. You have been through other lives, other things with them, and you are part of their soul family. So you are their important project. Now, do they do things on the other side? Yes, they help other people transition to, especially similar situations of how they died. They help people transition over to the other side, or they help find people on the other side to bring them to certain media. They do a lot of stuff on the other side. They can go, from what I've understand, they can go to any memory that they've ever had and relive that memory. They can pretty much go to any place that they want to. They're a frequency. So just remember that. The next one is I'm not mad. They don't very much, honestly, carry. If a medium ever tells you that a spirit is mad at you, you probably need to look for a different medium, because they don't carry that with them. Here's why. They see their life review. They know, they see the big picture. So they know exactly why you did the things that you did. They know exactly why they did the things that they did. And it could trigger back to something that happened when you were little or happened when they were little. And so they know why and they understand it. So they're not mad. They very, very seldom carry anger or frustration with them to the other side. Now, sometimes they will say they were a little frustrated with this, or they're frustrated because certain things that have happened, something like that. But you have to remember this: when we're on earth, our emotions are at a volume 10 on the frequency, like the volume. So you think of our energy as like a radio station, the volume for our emotions are at a 10. We cannot handle our emotions on earth most of the time. And it's like trying to navigate through all this emotion stuff. Our emotions have a ton of energy with them. So it's at a level 10 for us on earth. For them, it's like a level 2. They are not consumed by their emotions. They can think logically without letting their emotions be involved. So it's a little bit different. So I want you to remember that. So if a medium tells you they're sad or they're mad, it's not that. It's just one, either the medium's getting the feeling mixed up because they don't know how to, the spirit doesn't know how to portray or transition that feeling to the medium, or that they maybe were upset at a situation, but they're not now. 9 times, most of every reading I've ever done, never has been a spirit that comes through mad at anybody. So this, I have to get closer to my microphone. The next one is we will be together again. So yes, you'll be together again. And this one's kind of hard one, especially for widows, because here's why. I've given readings before, and sometimes the sitter or my client wants to start dating, and they feel this guilt, this tremendous guilt that they can't move on or they can't move forward and start dating. Now, moving on is different than moving forward. Moving forward is continuing with your life. The grief is still there. The grief is still, in fact, grief is always there. It's never going to leave. It's always going to be there. Just going to be different. So when I say something like, he says it's okay, you date again, or they know that there's a new relationship, sometimes my sitters get overwhelmed and sad because they think that that means the person on the other side is going to move on too, or the person on the other side is going to find somebody. That's not what it means. It means that they want you to find joy on this earth, and they want you to be happy, and they know that you still have more life to go. For timing over on their side is like 10 minutes. So they're going to see you like in 10 minutes. And they don't have things like jealousy, or they don't have things like, they know, they see the divine guidance and they know how it all works out. So if they come through and say it's okay, don't feel like they've forgotten you or they don't love you anymore. That's not what it means. It just means that they want you to be happy and they want you to have a good life. And sometimes it's human nature to want to have a companion, or to want to be in a companionship. It's just, we thrive on relationships. And so don't feel guilty about this because they're still going to be with you. A lot of clients are like, well, if I find a relationship, how is that going to work? Don't worry about that. It'll work out because you don't know, that other person might have somebody on the other side too. Don't worry about that. Just live in the moment and live on earth and do the best you can and move forward. And they don't care about that too, because they know the big picture. They know that they're going to be with you again. So so don't don't carry guilt about that. And don't carry guilt about being happy again. They want you to be happy. So if you find yourself like laughing and you're like, oh my gosh, I should be laughing because I just, and don't do that, because they want you to move on, to move forward. They want you to find joy in your life again, and that's what they want. If you were to pass tomorrow, isn't that what you would want for your family, is to not sit in it? And I mean, you can sit in it for grief is crazy, and so you can sit in it for, grief. You do you. Like, there's no book on how to do grief. There is books on how grief works, but there is no right or wrong on how you do it yourself. So the next one is I know what you're going through. They do. They'll bring through things that you're going through in your life, hard things. And they don't bring these things up in readings just to be like, oh yeah, you know that thing that you're going through right now. Well, good luck with that. They bring it up because they know you're going through some hard times and they love you and they want you to know that they're with you. They're actually trying to help you get through this hard time. So just know that they're with you and they're helping you. That's why in readings, they will bring stuff up like things that you're going through because they want you to know that they're with you and that they're helping you. And it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's one of my favorite parts of the reading. A lot of mediums will be like, well, you're tapping in psychically. Nope, I'm not. I'm listening to what the spirit's telling me. And the spirit's telling me they're going through this really hard time right now and that they're with them while they're going through it. So there goes that. And the last one, this one's not quite as often as the other ones, but a lot of times spirits will come through and apologize. They will come through and apologize for something that they did on earth. And you have to remember, it's perception. They could be apologizing for something that you're like, oh my gosh, that didn't even bother me. But to them, it did. And they want to apologize for it. And sometimes I'll even tell my clients, if somebody comes through in this reading and they want to apologize for something that you're not ready to forgive, just let me know and we'll move forward, because that will happen too, because they see their life review and they see the damage that they caused and they want to make it right. And so sometimes if you're not ready, then that's not fair for you. So go ahead and feel free to be like, I don't want to talk about this like right now. And then you can wait till you're ready. Okay. Now, when we do these readings, when I do these readings, it's amazing. And they when I disconnect at the end, they just disconnect from me. They don't leave you. A lot of times these spirits will leave with you when you walk out of the reading. They'll leave with my clients. They don't stay with me. I know some mediums have had spirits stay with them. My thing is they show up early sometimes and they can get involved in other readings. And it's kind of hard because as a medium, I just want you to like picture yourself at a really, you and your family are at this restaurant and you're around this really big table and you're all there, and then you shut your eyes. And then I want you to imagine whoever in your family talks the loudest is the one you're going to hear the most. So a whole bunch of people can come through in the reading, and the one who's the loudest is going to talk the most. So if you go to a group reading where there's an event and there's a medium and lots of people, tell your loudest ancestor to come through first, because they will make the biggest noise, and then they can bring through some of the ones that you want to hear. But I just want you to know the reason why, or it's so hard because they can. So if a medium has, like, if you're at a mediumship reading or you're at an event and sometimes they get their messages mixed, it's because there's multiple spirits in the room and each one's trying to take their turn. But sometimes some of them don't have the patience and they yell things out. So, and that can happen to you too, not just mediums. So if you have ancestors that are like yelling things, but you aren't even aware of what's going on. Sometimes you can forget who's who or what's what. So you can tell your ancestors, I want grandma to be this sign, which is dimes, or I want grandpa to be pennies, and I want my husband to be feathers. And just so you know, too, when they first pass over, some of the clearest signs that they use at first, because this is easy for them to manipulate, are feathers, dimes, pennies, birds, animals, lights, electricity, music, and just feeling them around if you're empathic. Those are the strongest ones. And don't feel like you're crazy when you feel this, because you're not. It's it's 99% them. And because they love you and they want you to know that they're around you. So that's how you can be your own medium. You can kind of tap into that stuff and be aware too, because sometimes when we're in grief, really deep grief, we look so hard for the signs that we miss them. And that's not your fault. It's just that's how grief is. So don't be hard on yourself. That's just how it is. So try to, communicate with your ancestors, tell each ancestor a different sign to show you and see if they bring that in for you. Um, it's amazing. And once you start seeing it and once it starts working, it's like the best thing ever. It's like you don't want to stop. You want to just keep going. It's the greatest thing ever. So I love you guys so much. And if you could do me a favor, I'm really starting to work on my podcast because I love to inspire and impact. And I feel like I can only sometimes do that through readings, but I really want to try and start doing it through my podcast. So if you could leave me a review or share this with somebody, if this helped you, share it with somebody who you know it will help, and leave me a review wherever you listen, either Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those places. Leave me a review. I would really, really appreciate it. And I would love you to check out my website and see the different courses that I have right now. Right now, I only have the Awakening course, which is the one where if you're going through an awakening, it'll help you step by step. It gives you the basics of your chakras and your signs and symbols and the clairs, all the basics that you need to know to start tapping into spirit and to go through your awakening. I will have more classes at the beginning of next year, and I will start having more guests because I plan to do that this year. But then I had the tumor that I had to get removed, which I got removed on Friday. So if you can't tell, I just got this. I had surgery on Friday, but honestly, you can't really tell. Like this whole side of my cheek is kind of the left side of my cheek is kind of swollen, but the microphone covers that. So if you're watching this, you can't really tell. And if you're listening, then at least you know. So also always tune into Carrie Connects on Mondays on Instagram and on YouTube and on my podcast. So I love you guys so much. And I will see you next week. And if you see the signs, please DM me and let me know because I love hearing from you.